Parliament building built in the 1980s here in Bucharest, Romania by the communist dictator Ceausescu, who was deposed before it was actually completed. Ridiculous Taj Mahal. And they only completed it because they didn't know what else to do by the time that it was almost done. So read about the Romanian Revolution of 1989. Google it, do a Wikipedia read on it, and what you'll find is that in 1989, the Romanian people rose in rebellion against the dictator Ceausescu. And what happened was there were mass demonstrations against his rule, and he turned the military and the secret police on his own citizens. Thousands of people were killed or wounded, and eventually Ceausescu was overthrown, but it was only because the people rose up and made their voices heard. We had the privilege of meeting one of the student heroes of the Romanian Revolution. You'll see his picture in a couple of shots, and he's holding a flag that he seized and rode with on top of a tank that he helped capture. And they took the red star, because Ceausescu was a communist dictator. They took the red star out of the middle of the flag, and he still got that flag. And you'll see a lot of flags in Romania that are like that. So really impressive. Serious note, but serious times then, and do we live in serious times now? Anyway, after that, back to the tourism.
Some other special things about this place are the fact that 6 or 7 nuns live here, and they are the only church in the country where they still sing in a neo-Byzantine style. It's quite interesting on Sunday morning during the religious service. Also, the nuns have a kind of lab behind the building, and they store all books, especially all religious manuscripts. And in the courtyard, you will see that this is a kind of open-air museum with religious items, and
A lot of historic buildings, a lot of churches were damaged or destroyed during the 40-odd years of communist rule in Romania, but a lot of them weren't. And in fact, we saw a beautiful Romanian Orthodox church while we were in Bucharest, and here are some pictures of it. And you can always tell we learned an Orthodox church because of the beautiful iconography painted on the walls. So we had the opportunity to go to the Village Museum in Bucharest, which is a big open-air museum with authentic relocated buildings and things from rural life all across Romania. There's like over 300 buildings there, houses, farms, wooden churches, things like that. And the purpose of it is to show Romanian village life and kind of preserve cultural diversity there. This was kind of toward the end of our day in Bucharest. And of course, what you do at the end of a tour like this is get onto your bus, and you're headed to where you're going to stay. In this case, a hotel. We did have to circle back because there's always the inevitable two people who wander off and don't get on the bus in time. But that only cost us a few minutes. But a great place to go visit. Palace Castle is on a 5 square kilometer property that was actually purchased by the Romanian royal family in 1873. And King Carol I had Palace Castle built, and it's actually a palace. There's also another palace on the same complex, which is called Pelisor Castle, and there's also a hunting lodge. The hunting lodge which is a small little thing of 40 odd rooms. It's actually a pretty impressive building, Palace Castle. It's got like 170 rooms, which you don't see all of them. 34,000 square feet. It's a big place. Palace Castle is actually owned by the Romanian royal family. They got it back after the end of communism. After a period of negotiation, they lease it to the Romanian state. Pelisor Castle is, I guess there's some negotiation about, occupation of it, meaning who gets to use it. Although I believe it's still technically owned by the Romanian royal family, which doesn't own the hunting lodge. The hunting lodge is the property of the Romanian state, which uses it for diplomatic getaways, apparently. You can see how beautiful the rooms and furniture and everything are in the castle. And I think probably one reason why it still looks so good there is that after the King of Romania was forced to abdicate in 1947 and the communist government seized all of the royal properties, it basically didn't get used very much. It was used as a tourist attraction a little bit, I guess in the late 40s, and it was used for cultural purposes briefly, but for probably 25 years, it was just closed and just kept, everybody had to stay out of it according to the rules of the government at the time. It was called a state interest area. So now it can, they can use it as a tourist draw, and apparently the Palace Castle itself attracts maybe 500,000 visitors a year, which, you're up in the Carpathian Mountains in Romania. That's not too bad. And the Carpathian Mountains themselves are a big tourism draw in Romania. It was quite busy when we were there. The Pridgmer Fortified Church was founded around the year 1211 by the Teutonic Knights. And it was founded as a Catholic church, but it's a Lutheran church now. It's part of the Fortified Churches in Transylvania UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it's a pretty amazing place to see on the inside. So let's go have a look. You can really tell the difference on the inside of the Pridgmer Church between a Catholic / later Lutheran church and the Orthodox churches we saw in a lot of other places in Eastern Europe. You don't have the iconography on the walls, for example, but you do have this beautiful triptych altarpiece that dates all the way back to 1450, if you can believe that. Pridgmer sits on an invasion route, basically, next to a place called the Buzau Pass. And so if invaders were coming through, Pridgmer was right there. So that's why this church was so heavily fortified. In fact, the walls are 16 feet thick. They're 40 feet high. It's got 5 towers, a battlement. You can only get into the complex through a tunnel that's 98 feet long. It was really difficult to get into. Once, if the village was in danger, 1,600 villagers could take shelter in the rooms inside, and it was circular. So again, it makes it difficult to take. Apparently, the village was destroyed a number of times by invaders over the centuries, but the church was almost never, the church was almost never captured because of the fortifications. I never knew before we went to Romania that King Charles III of Great Britain has had a lifelong interest in Romania, and in fact, in the Transylvania region, the Bănești area, for example, he purchased about 20 years ago a couple of farmhouses, 17th century farmhouses, and had them renovated, one of which we visited. And it was renovated as an example of what you can do in an area like that. And it's used primarily as a museum and a demonstration. And the bedroom that we went through is actually King Charles' bedroom. His stuff is in that room. But he also tried to have an impact on the economics of the area by helping people to find ways to make money. For example, we visited a blacksmith shop just in the local village where King Charles, then Prince Charles, had gone to and seen a demonstration of making a horseshoe. And he suggested to the blacksmith, hey, make small ones that only take you a few minutes to make, and you can sell them to tourists. So we had a very interesting time, and a lot of it thanks to King Charles of Great Britain, benefiting us, enriching our trip to Romania, but also benefiting the local people and helping them, to greater economic prosperity.
The size they are getting, yeah. A little bit more, yeah.
Asta a fost ideea lui Prințul Charles, că dacă suntem căutați de turiști, să nu-i ținem aici o oră, aproximativ 10 minute, 15 minute, ca oamenii mai au și altceva de vizitat.
So this idea of having this like a small souvenir from the blacksmith was actually it came from King Charles, who suggested because people they don't have enough time to pay and wait for an hour to get huge horseshoes. So he suggested to make a small one, which is taking like around 10 to 15 minutes to be made.
Nu numai asta facem și o să dăm demonstrație, că poți să stai. Facem așa ceva, de exemplu, ăștia este făcute tot de noi, nu numai asta facem și o să demonstrez, încă o dată mai am repetat.
So while on the blacksmith, they are not only doing the horseshoes, they are doing locksmiths, doors locks and gates as well, and all sorts of kind made up out of iron and steel.
Bun, eu acum am să bag fierul ăsta în foc ca să fac așa ceva.
He's going to demonstrate you how to make this final product. Yeah?
Nu o să dureze mult, că repede pot să o fac, că lucrez de 35 de ani.
He's going to be like Superman, you know, he's walking very fast. Like, so he's heating up the forge, yeah? So the blacksmith, his main tools are the hammer and the anvil and the forge, yeah? He's working with fire. If you want, I can use it a little bit. You can come with
Ține numai că eu știu, ok?
Non potevi che lo scioccavi.
Ah?
Che lo scioccavi. Mi sono tutto lì.
No.
E un attimo. E se la buona, un attimo.
We had this all staged.
Ce alte, Roxana?
toate bune, să vedem cum pare la
Hai de mine, bravo, bravo! Așa vreau să te văd, întotdeauna fericită, mândră.
Păi, nu, acum și sunt pe plan. O să trec cu 4 minute.
Da.
You're fine. I'm more fun around you.
And use the hammer.
Să ca oamenii tăi, adică te mai fac, ca mai lutiți. Ține! Mai de ușor? Deci așa fac șopă ca o mare, exact ca și asta, numai asta este mică decorativă.
So it's the same process that we used also for making the larger one.
Yeah.
On the normal size.
Right.
Ridicai?
Going back to our home village.
That's a good question.
No, așa, mintenaș este gata. Insulină?
Nu e bine.
Păi, trebuie să le avem pe toate, că așa e bine. Eu așa am zis. Păi e ceva normal. O zis doctorul să mă las de fumat. Și am zis, domnule, cum să mă duc cu românii ăștia sănătoși în pământ? Mai bine îi stic aici pe pământ. Noi, ia vedeți ce am făcut.
Sighisoara is a walled town in Transylvania, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it's also a childhood home of Vlad Dracul, aka Vlad the Impaler. That goes back to the 1400s when he lived there. It's a restaurant now. I will say the red wine tasted a little odd. Also, Sighisoara has a number of towers, including a clock tower that goes back to the 13th century. We climbed that. It's a little high up for my taste, but the view from the tower was just amazing. Sighisoara is one of the few towns in Eastern Europe, Southeastern Europe, that were walled towns that still exist within the walls. And it's that state of preservation really that makes it a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The other thing that's really interesting is that they had the idea of doing a Dracula themed park nearby a couple of years ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago. And the people in the area just decided not to do it because it would ruin the aesthetics of the nearby nature preserve. And they know what they've got. Dracula is a big draw, and they wanted to keep it looking, as authentic as possible. And I think they succeeded.
Signal the guys from the watchtower that there is an enemy coming on and things like this. So they can whisper, they can make a different sound than the one they're making actually when they change in the top towers. On the radio, you can record different capitals and how far they are from yeah? So this is Bucharest. So they are quite close, they have 221 kilometers right. They're practically there, yeah.
So Bran Castle is really a tribute to modern marketing. Bran, B-R-A-N as in Nancy, is a castle in Transylvania, which is located next to the city or town of Bran. It has nothing to do with Dracula. It was built in 1377 or started in 1377 by authorization of the King of Hungary for the protection of Saxon Germans who lived in that area. And basically it was fortifications and protection for those people. Right now it's a museum. It's presented and marketed outside of Romania as Dracula's Castle. Bram Stoker never heard of this place. He never went there. Meanwhile, it's a beautiful place. It was actually, in modern times, the residence of the royal family of Romania. After World War I, Romania became an independent country again and got Transylvania as part of the treaties after the end of World War I. After the end of communism, there was some back and forth, and the royal family regained ownership of the castle. Meanwhile, it's a museum, and it's a beautiful palace, and you should give in to the marketing and go see it. It's really amazing. I will say that marketing for Dracula aside, people really do go to the castle or palace, if you prefer, and visit it in droves. And that's not just tourists, it's people from Romania. When we were there were long, long lines of people waiting to get in. We stood there for probably 40 minutes, and we had priority because we were part of a group. But even once you're inside, there are a lot of people going through the rooms. When you're done and you go out, you still got choices of things to see and do. There's just outside the castle itself. There's a tea room you can visit. There's like a craft fair with all kinds of things. I think I bought a T-shirt there for Bran Castle. And in addition to that, just outside the grounds, there are restaurants and places. We had lunch there. I mean, altogether, a really nice experience. So and people that go there know what they're going there to see, and it's really well worth doing if you can go.